Welcome and good afternoon to everyone who's joined in today for our masterclass. A quick introduction about today's masterclass and our company. Aquap is an edtech company. We've been into cybersecurity for almost like more than a year now, and we recently started a 16-week bootcamp course. Today's masterclass is going to be about how to break through in today's day in terms of the industry. And a quick introduction about our expert today, Mr. Narendra Rathi. As far as his experience is concerned, he has more than close to 9 years of experience in the security domain. And as you can see, he's worked with big brands and currently he's working as level 2 security analyst. He comes with a plethora of experience and a various amount of hands-on in terms of designations like incident response. He's also handled a fair bit of amount around cloud and currently he's working with Microsoft. Today, he's going to be talking about various things of how you guys can break through into the cybersecurity industry so that will help us, a lot of people who are seeking in to understand how the industry works. And today we're going to get to that through Mr. Narendra Rathi. A warm welcome to you, Narendra. Without any further delay, I request you to get our class started. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Kaushik. Hi, guys. So, as Kaushik already told you guys that I have close to 9 years of experience, and that is basically revolving around the security domain. And mostly, I've worked on like security incident response. Then, for a brief period of time, I was working on identity access management part, which include the rollback access controls and all. And then post that, I came into like the cloud investigations when I was working with Acquia. And then it was a mix match with cloud and infra stuff. And then finally, like right now, I'm working on Defender Stack, which basically is the antivirus from Microsoft. And we have like multiple clients and they leverage our services and we provide our expertise onto that. So my question to you guys, like as you all join this class because you all want to join and get into the cybersecurity thing. So, but one thing which you guys need to ask yourself before joining the cybersecurity club, that what kind of roles you guys are looking for, like in the cybersecurity domain, or be whether they are like you are looking for a technical role or a non-technical role. Because whenever we talk about cybersecurity, the one thing and the coolness quotient associated with the thing is like I want to be a hacker. But hacker, to be honest, hacker is only just a little part of the cybersecurity. It's not the full domain of cybersecurity. The whole domain of cybersecurity includes various things from am I going too fast? So guys, you can uh, am I audible and is my pace okay?
Sounds good, sir. And guys, if you have any problems, you can start dropping your messages and your questions in the chat so that we'll pick it up at the end of the session. We're good to go, sir.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, so what kind of roles you are looking for? For example, like when we were growing up, we were seeing all these movies and all these cool series like Mr. Robot and all that, which shows that hacker is the only like a really cool job. You can get into any system, you can let them do whatever they want. But that is a part of cybersecurity, which includes the penetration testing part of it, where we break things in order to get that, like this is how it can be manipulated. So the basic difference between a developer and a penetration tester is a developer develops code in order to get the things done in a certain way. For example, you want to write a program for a calculator, you want it to calculate things. But from a pen tester point of view or from a hacker point of view, you don't want it to calculating. You want it to do things which it is not supposed to do. The machine is not supposed to do. So that is the basic difference, or in layman term, we can say the difference between a developer and a hacker. So and a lot of you guys, I think most of our crowd is college student, right?
A fair bit of mix of both. Some are also industry professionals as well, who've just probably entered into the industry and looking for some
Okay, yeah.
as well.
So yeah, one question which I came across like over my LinkedIn and all the people, like what things I need to do in order to get a job into cybersecurity, or what skills are required. Some people, they are afraid of coding, but they want to be get into it. So I'll break these things down slowly, and then you guys can feel to yourself. So I want, by the end of the session, I want you to go with a thought that this is what I want to do, and this is what need to be done from my side in order to achieve that. Because like, uh, the cybersecurity is right now, I think it's around $170 billion industry, and it's gonna be really huge with all these work from home things coming up. And as more we will be connecting with the outside world with the internet, and we have internet connected devices all over our home. So that way, like, it's gonna be a really huge thing in future. So I'll start from how you can get into it. So first thing which I think is really important for getting into a cybersecurity job is like to have a basic knowledge of networking. So I'm not telling that you guys go and set up a router, or you guys should like do an MPLS setting or something like that. No, that is not required. But you guys should basically know that what happens when I ping a domain. You should guys should know how like what happens when I type www.google.com in a browser, and what happens on the back end. So this basic networking is like really important for you guys to know, in order to get, like, because until unless you don't know what is happening on the other side, you will not be able to attack it or defend it. So that way, like, networking is one really important thing, which is like important to getting into a job for cybersecurity domain. And be it you want to be a hacker, be it you want to be an incident responder, be it you want to be a malware researcher, whatever job you want to do in cybersecurity, this is one most important requirement which is needed in that particular job. So the second part, and the second question which comes up to me over by many students and many people, like about the regarding the coding part of it. So I'll tell you what, like, you don't need to be a hardcore coder to get into a cybersecurity job. So the thing is that most of the times what we do as like, we write codes in order to automate stuff, not to develop stuff. So for example, if I'm writing a script, so if I'm like pinging a particular website or particular if I'm taking an attack specifically onto a thing, so I want to try a different permutation combinations of that particular thing. Or if I'm doing a brute force attack, I want to run the whole dictionary attack against it. So that way it is not feasible for one person to uh, type each and every single password. So that's why scripting part is required, but it is not mandatory. But what is important from coding perspective, that you guys should know how to read code, what a code is doing. So whenever you guys will be analyzing code, or whenever you guys will be like provided with a script, or whenever there is an exploit available, all those will be written in some languages. You guys should understand that how a program flows go like, and what it is supposed to be doing. You guys should not be writing applications and things like that. Understood? So then the third thing, so for example, like people who are not really interested in technical aspects of cybersecurity, but still want to get a job. So there are jobs like, you can go in the risk assessment part of this, where you will be writing policies for the company. You guys can, if you are good in law and stuff, so you guys will be it can be the cyber legal part of the business. You guys can be part of cyber awareness program, where you will be teaching the whole organization. Because this particular the cyber awareness thing, it came out recently. Like, I've been working, but last 3-4 years, there have been a huge emphasis on to people, like, they want to teach their whole organization the important, and that you should not click any link received from an unknown sender in an email, and those kind of stuff. So these kind of awareness is getting spreaded within the organizations nowadays. So that is also part of. So this will help you land up into a cybersecurity job. So it will be based on your interest, what you want to do and what you not want to do. So for that, I'll share my screen. Just give me a moment. Where is that? Yeah. I'll share my screen and you guys can see what are the different just a minute. Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So if you see, this is the whole cybersecurity domain. I'll just minimize it. And these are the different parts where you can land up in a job. So this is like the main cybersecurity domain. So there comes also physical security is also part of it. Then comes the security operations part of it, for which I'm the most associated with it, which include like the active defenses, which include like EDR, AVs, then detection capabilities. So this is the security operation part of it. It include mostly the blue team activities and finding flaws and attack and defense. They are part in security operations. So this is where I am associated with it. Then there is this user education, which I was telling you guys about. This is because of there is a saying in cybersecurity world that a chain is as strong as your weakest link. So that's what it is being said. So for example, like a user doesn't has to target your whole organization. He just has to craft an email, send it to one of your employee, and later on what action that employee has taken, he can escalate his privileges, his or her privilege, and then do the things and data exploitation, whatever is in is there, they can do it. So if you guys remember, there was this attack SolarWinds where they infected the supply chain. So in that particular attack, what happened, they crafted a library into one of the DLL. So for that, they just require a dev role and just crafting that, injecting that malicious DLL into that supply chain attack. They infected the, I think it was one of the largest, if affected and attack in terms of like organizations and everything. So you guys, when you guys should read about it, it's SolarWinds attack. So it happened like 2-3 months back, not 2-3 months back, like in starting of 2021. Then comes the threat intel part of it, where like threat intel part of it. So for example, like most of the things and most of the devices and activities. So whenever we say that we received a malicious activity observed from a blacklisted IP or a whitelisted IP. So blacklisted IP is is an IP which has been provided bad reputation for the period of time depending on the activities it is performing. So for example, in last ransomware attack when WannaCry happened, so there were they associate IPs to those particular attacks, and then they track them that this is the kind of behavior which is being observed from those IP, and that's why they put a behavioral block onto this. So there are these threat intel, and if you want to go into the threat intel part of it, many threat actors and all those are categorized by threat intel. And if you want to read more about it, you guys can search for MISP, and you can search for taxi, TAXII. Then come the governance part of it, which include like the policy making within the organization. What are the laws? What are the certifications which we need to do? So I think most of the you guys will be using Paytm and phone pay at this moment of time, and whenever you log in onto them, you will see that they always come up with a tag that PCI compliant. So PCI means payment card industry. So any app or any service which will be including any kind of financial transaction in India has to be PCI compliant. So that comes under governance. So here it comes PCI. HIPAA is for healthcare industry. GDPR is for Europe. So you cannot share any personal identifiable information. And then based on that, these are the this is the other governance part of it. Then comes the enterprise risk management. So where, for example, you continuously keep on checking the organization, and you check for that this server is not patched, and this is something which is like vulnerable. Vulnerable means something which can be exploited in future. So there come the enterprise. So you maintain a risk register that these are the things which are vulnerable in our environment, and these are the risks associated with it. And then based on that risk, you prioritize the thing. For example, a mail server, because it is always external facing, it has to be put higher on risk register, where on asset management register, right? Then come the risk assessment part of it. Risk assessment means scanning the vulnerability, performing a penetration testing, and then there are different type of penetration testing which include like infrastructure network system, with for example like DOS, DDoS, social engineering, uh, which is like gaining knowledge about a particular user or their choices, likes and dislikes, and then crafting their whole attack. So for example, like people who says and who openly write on open to work on LinkedIn, that particular way, like if someone has to attack that specific target, they can always send them that attacker can always send them that I have attached a job description, please see it. And as the person is looking for a job, he will definitely open he will most probably open the job description uh, attached like the word resume, and based on that the script running behind it will execute. So that is why. And then DAST dynamically testing and application pen test. Then apart from that, then come the application security part of it. So where you check the user experience, where you check whether the logins are happening, whether one user can log in into like same or same application with different roles. For example, like if you see or you guys will be using, so for example like in Hotstar or Prime, single user can a single ID is used multiple times, but on Netflix it is not. So that there comes the user experience and also the authentication part attached to it. Then there are these frameworks associated with it. You guys should definitely go ahead with Mitre and OS top 10. Mitre, this chart is not new. So this is Mitre attack framework, and they have recently launched the Mitre defend framework. So the Mitre attack framework, it shows all the techniques and technologies which can be used in order to launch an attack. And then come the security architecture part of it, where you will be designing and the whole architecture that this is where my server would be, this is how I'll put a perimeter around it, and this is how it gonna communicate to it, and these are the important thing which I'll put over in DMZ, and that way. And then come the career development part of it, where I think like what Antwork is doing right now. So they are into cybersecurity training, coaching, peer group, self-study. So there come the career development part of it. So this is on the whole. You guys, I'll post the link onto it. This is a really good LinkedIn article which I found, and I'll post it in the chat. You guys can see to it and look it. Just give me a moment. I'll send it to Kaushik, and he'll send it further.
Sure thing.
Yeah. So any questions here now?
I think, Naren, we just have a couple of questions here. So one of them is from Aditya Tiwari. Are certifications worth pursuing in college, like Security Plus or EC Council certifications?
So certifications, I would say that the certifications are important. So for example, when a recruiter is looking at your resume, so that particular way, for example, like if they are looking at they had to shortlist, they might be receiving 500 of applications, and they don't want to go through and calling each and every individual. So that particular certifications only helps you in shortlisting the resume. They don't help you, and they don't provide you the experience related to it. So that way certification helps you like standing apart from crowd, but they are not everything.
All right. Is it required grade CGPA if you have a certification is enough? The academic record bit of it, I guess.
So what particular domains you guys are looking at it? So for example, like if you talk about the CGPA thing, with CGPA, for example, like for any XYZ reason, or you didn't get a good CGPA in college. So there are multiple platforms where you can showcase that you are good into this, because this is one particular field where even if you don't have a degree, you can start earning. So you can always go and participate in the bug bounty. You can be part of the HackerOne, because I know people who were in like full-time job and then they left their job and they are now doing full-time bug bounties. So you can just enroll yourself onto HackerOne, because and when you put your rank associated with the HackerOne bug bounty program, so that itself shows that this is what this guy is doing, and this is what we are hiring for him. So, and then in that particular case, experience matter, not the CGPA. But it depending on the college, because some college have that rule that we don't let people below this CGPA do. So that's totally up to college thing. But yeah, from my perspective, like the experience, and if you showcase it in outer world, and that would be more helpful. So certification plus like these tags, they help you a lot in getting a job.
Right, we have a question from Priyanka. Hello, sir. I'm pursuing MBA in business analytics. How to start in cybersecurity? What are the necessary skills, and is it necessary to enroll a cybersecurity course?
So if so she's doing an analytics in data, right? MBA in data analytics.
Yeah. Business analytics.
Yeah, business analytics. So in cybersecurity, like I don't know, the getting the job will be the only thing which is required. Apart from that, like this particular field, I don't know how it works in India, but abroad, like the degrees doesn't matter, and here also, like it doesn't matter. So from business analytics point of view, first of all, it has to be, you have to be clear like which particular part you have to land up into. So the risk registers and the governance part of it, they don't require any technical expertise associated with them. They just they require like a good interpersonal skills, because nowadays, earlier cybersecurity was at the back end of organization, but now the cybersecurity management is directly interacting with the CEOs. The CISO is all most of the CISOs are now board members, because this has grown at a huge level. So you might be like, depending on where you want to get it, it depends. So for example, if you want to go into the pen testing part of it, or if you want to go into incident response part of it, that particular way, like you might be you have to put more energy and effort into it. For governance part of it, that depends on the placement you are looking for, the kind of placement. And the business analytics, it's always help us, because the threat intel part of in threat intel, which we said, it includes a lot and lot of business data. Lot and lot of data, not the business data. It includes lot and lot of data, and we always require people who are good in analytics and data science. So in order, so we can also fine tune our devices and the performance. We can also fine tune the performance of the defensive devices we are using.
Right. Just to add to Naren's point, Naren, if that's okay, can I just borrow a couple of minutes to just connect?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for that. Just to add to Naren's point, Priyanka, we have a cybersecurity course which has been kind of tailor-made because the idea for us is that we don't want you to we don't want to make choices for you. So we have a custom-made course which specifically talks about 16 weeks of course, 12 weeks of core topics, 4 weeks of soft skills, CV prep mentoring sessions, and we also have tie-up with a couple of companies, cybersecurity firms. The idea is that we just run classes twice a week. That's on Saturdays and Sundays. And then we also have about industry experts like Naren, who've been in the industry for quite some time, as experts with their own domain skills that they bring in. And there are going to be 40 plus live classes. None of them are pre-recorded. We'll be offering you pre-reads well before the classes, and we believe in hands-on experience. So you'll be doing about 10 plus projects. And the course is just 49,999 with promotional discounts happening. So just an overview about certain topics that we're doing starts from the introduction of cybersecurity to network security, to cyber attacks, to web application security and incident management. If you see, every topic is backed up with a tool that you'll also be learning. So that topic kind of justifies you that you've learned something out of it, because if you can learn conceptually and try to put it on hand, that's something that the industry is really looking out for. Similarly, we also do SOC related tools. We do QRadar, and in addition, we also do other topics like GRC, identity and access management. So Naren had presented a domain map. That's one of our kind of backend backbone of how this entire course is kind of structured. And the highlight about this is that you end up getting a complete independence, because after the end of 12 weeks, you have a liberty to choose which of these topics has actually resonated with you, or which ones is something that you're able to associate yourself with. And depending on that, you can go deep into it and pursue that as a career. So I strongly urge that. I've shared a link on the chat window. I'd recommend you guys to just have a quick look through that, and also just register, because it's free of cost, and you'll definitely get a counseling call to them, have a word across and have a look through. Thank you so much, Naren. I think we are having more questions in the chat, so we'll just start going into them right away. I have been selected into a cybersecurity consultant role. Are there any certifications that support me in this?
So in terms of certification, wait, let me share my screen again. And I think it will clear a lot of your guys' thoughts. And the program which Antwerp has created, that is also like which the tools they have mentioned, they are the most used tools within the organization. So this is a really nice graph where this guy has included all the trainings and certifications which are included, and based on that it also shows that which is good for entry level, and you can always click on it and you can see that these are the certifications which are available. For example, if someone is looking for an entry level job and they want to get like if person who is looking for an entry job level job, he doesn't need a CISSP or a GCFA to get stand apart from crowd. It's just that they are looking as a job as a fresher, so they can always show that this is what I know and this is what I'm able to learn. So for people who are looking to get a job into cyber security, I think CompTIA Security Plus is a really good basic certification. And then based on that, when you have like little bit knowledge, you can go for a novice one. And then based on your experience and interest part of it, you can always choose any of these. So for example, like if you guys are looking into offensive side of security, then I think now they have also come up with OSED, but earlier it was still OSEE. So OSED is the latest addition. So this is from offensive security. So this is also I'm gonna share, and if you guys have any question, you can either reach out to Kaushik and me, and over LinkedIn or anywhere. And so this is what the certification is. So for the cybersecurity role which you have been chosen, because cybersecurity consultant is basically it can be a general term. So you can be consulting people based on the risk the organization can contain, or based on like I'm unable to grasp like what basically your job role will be, but it is like a broader term. So whatever job or whatever you have in plate to look at, yeah, you can always look at this particular chart. Oh, just a moment. I'll share it in chat, and then. So any other question? Look, like any question?
Yeah, we do.
Sorry.
Mr. Gagan Raj, what should we prefer getting into, be it a blue team or red team, for a third year college graduate in computer science engineering with cybersecurity as a major?
A blue team and red team. So that so if you like to break things, because there is no such thing as like I'll be a complete red teamer. There are pros and cons associated with both in all the fields of cybersecurity. So for example, if you are more interested in breaking out things and uh, testing things like how they can be done, so you can go into the red teaming part of it. If you are more interested to like catch how the bad guys do and you want to catch them, then you can go into the blue team side of it. And nowadays in most of the organization, even in Microsoft, there is the term known as the purple team, where it is a mix of both kind of teams. So it is a mix of like the blue team and the red team. So depending on your interest area and what you are comfortable with, I think that would be the best to go with. So try your hand on hack the box, or because setting up a lab for offensive thing is very easy. Setting up a lab for defensive is really tough, because then you need lot of tools, and most of those tools are like paid. But if you want to try on offensive side, yeah, hack the box is the one thing like you can start away from. If you are more into like endpoint hacking, if you are more into applications hacking, then you can try for bug bounty or HackerOne. You can enroll there, and then there are open applications available to you guys, so that way.
Thanks. So we have a question from Akshendra: how to get started with threat intelligence?
So how to get started with threat intel? I'll answer this. So with threat intel part of it, what you can do there is like, I'll just write it in chat. So first of all, this is a taxi server. You can download this virtual VM onto your system, and it will provide the feeds with data intel. And based on that data, you can check with the, like, it will give you a feed of what are the top blacklisted IP. So just one more question: you are a student or working in any organization? You can just type in chat. So if you are like a student, you can start from here. If you are working in organization, then I would say you can look for these. So these are the threat intel platforms. So you need the full repo is available over GitHub. So with all the installation and everything, so you can look up to them.
Okay, cool. And then there's a question from Chandru. Hello, sir. I'm working in a software company with backend SPL SQL developer and MSc in cyber forensics and infosec. Now I should change my career into cyber forensics domain. Please tell me, what should I do to break through?
Okay, so I'll again share my screen. Just give me a moment, guys, because I know this thing will. So this is a chart. Is it visible, Kaushik?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So this is a chart. I'll share the link. So it tells us that which are the job roles and how you can go into the job. So for example, if you're working in networking, it will show that you can get a job as a cybersecurity specialist, analyst, incident and intrusion analyst, auditor, engineer, and architect. So right now, as Chandru said, that he's into software development. So there are two particular aspects to it. He can either go into the cybersecurity analyst part of it, and if he's good with like the testing and he's good with the application development code, then he can go into the vulnerability tester part of it. So that particular way, like, he can choose his role. He can switch from his current role. But if he directly want to go into like a forensic related role, so then I think he should start working on volatility and case, try some hands-on, start working on them, and keep on applying to jobs. And like there has to be, like, you have to showcase, buddy, that's something which you have done, because like I know that getting the first job is the most important thing, and then sometimes we have to leave our passion for that. So if you are really interested in forensic and that stuff, you have to showcase onto it. Kaushik, do we have any certification plan around forensic?
Usually it's the NCASE guidance, NCASE certified examiner, which is usually the industry's accepted one, just because NCASE is the only current forensic tool which is admissible in court. The proceedings. So they do a certification called ENCE, which is NCASE certified examiner. I think apart from that, I think even SANS provides some sort of.
Yeah, SANS ones are really expensive. So
yeah, those are definitely expensive. Yeah,
those are really expensive. So I think it costs around a complete engineering degree in India.
I mean, most of these certifications are based in the United States. That's why they're
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
We'll go on to our next question. Hi, how can I know which role in cyber to choose as though there are too many fields inside it?
Based on your area of interest. So, like, if you love coding, then go for red teaming, blue teaming. If you want to be, you are always good with like policy making and stuff. For example, like writing notes and things, you can go for governance and compliance. So, but first, you need to ask yourself why you want to be in cybersecurity. What's the most inspiring thing about cybersecurity? And when you get to know the question, you will also get to know the answer that this is the field where I want to go into. Because like I'll tell this one thing. So once you get into any of the job role within cybersecurity, all the job roles are interconnected. So it's not something like that you got into like blue team and you can never come out of it. You can change it, because most of the things and teams and the projects, they come as an organization, within the whole organization. So if you are working in a blue team, you can always lend your hand to your colleagues, and that way you can always switch on there. So there is no particular thing that if I start over here and this. The first and foremost important thing, I think, for fresher, I want to go say that they should go into, rather than uh, like into core like offensive thing, they should first understand what an enterprise looks like. So enterprise risk management would be one really good thing. So they get a bigger picture that this is how an enterprise is affected by people. This is what we need to be done. Because sometimes when we think about cybersecurity, we always think about the attack and defense, but there is a really big part attached to it. For example, like the compliance is part of it. The GDPR fines are really really huge. So an organization put lot of uh, money and manpower in order to get compliant to it. So by working in enterprise risk management, you get a picture on whole, that this is what I want to do, and this is what the whole cybersecurity things look like, and this is what inspires me most to do, and this is what I want to pursue. So first, getting into a job is like a really good thing, and to get a bigger picture.
Right. We have a question from Aisha. I completed Cisco Networking Academy Introduction to Cyber and Cybersecurity Essentials course, Engineering C department background, Computer Science Engineering, which will I'm not really sure. The question reads, which will enlighten our resume to get a job as freshers. I think she's talking about what could be the highlight of the resume as a fresher to get shortlisted for some sort of interview or something.
So for example, like for fresher and even for experience, I would say that when you make a resume, don't make it like really big. I think when you are particularly applying for a job, just put the set of toolkits which you have used. For example, like the tool CyberArk, or Ncase, or Kali. And Kali is a whole operating system, but whatever tool you have used over there, like Metasploit or Nikto, whatever you have used. So put these things in your resume. Then apart from that, put the frameworks you have used. For example, if you're using MITRE attack framework, if you are using Cyber Kill Chain, use these things. So that way you will be showcasing that, yeah, this particular person has a knowledge attached to it. Sometimes what happens, that we write a whole lot story in our resume and we miss out the point. Or sometimes we put too much onto our resume that we have stopped working, or we don't remember them anymore, and then we don't perform as well as in our resume. So resume has to be what you have done, and showcase your strength, and it should show that yeah, you have knowledge around the field.
Right. We have a question from Bhagwan. So what roles has highest demands in the cybersecurity market? Example, LabSec engineer, malware analyst, threat intel. Which one is the highest demand in terms of the market?
Well, I think all the roles have highest demand. This is like there is no comment to it. So I'll again, my screen is shared, right? So if you go onto this particular role, and if you see onto any particular thing, you can just see that there are 2,77,000 jobs available related to in all these fields. Then you can see that there are 1,146,000 jobs available. So all the roles are particularly in demand. There is no specific thing that this is in demand, this is not in demand. I think all of them has demand if you getting a job is your priority. And if you want to, if you have any other aims like, because like malware analysis, as you said, so that includes lot of patience, and it get developed over a period of time. So you have to be that patient also in order to attain those things. So yeah, definitely once you go into hardcore malware researching, the top you get is the higher your demand is.
We have a question for a fresher like mechanical department. Can you suggest what is best certification to enter cybersecurity?
Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus. I think that is the basic certification which shows that you have knowledge around cybersecurity domain, and it doesn't showcase you as a Superman also, that you will be the one doing everything. So it shows that as an entry level, you know what are the things over there.
As our college doesn't offer us placements, how do we search for jobs?
Tough COVID time.
This is it's a, see, you have job portals. That's the first thing, because I think connect on LinkedIn, network with people, they'll kind of help you. I think that's it. Yeah. Question from Neet: are there any roles that's connected to cybersecurity and AI ML?
AI ML. So from AI ML perspective, I'll say, so most of these, if I don't know if you guys have heard about EDRs. So EDRs are next generation antiviruses. So what they do, they check the behavior of a machine, that this is a normal behavior, and because and this is what it is not expected from a machine to do. For example, like when a Word document is not supposed to open a command prompt, right? There is no signature attached to it there, but it is not supposed to do it. So that's where in development EDRs and things, the ML come into picture. So you train the machine to learn itself that this is what a normal behavior looks like, and this is what an abnormal behavior looks like. So for example, like just clicking a browser, if something is targeting your registry, that is not supposed to happen. So that particular way, it is the machine learning which has to be done, because no there are 0 days every single day, so machine has to be intelligent enough. So for example, if someone is running PowerShell is accepted by Windows environment, it is being provided to them. But if someone is running commands which are changing services, which are changing scheduling tasks, so these kind of things are being done with ML. So for EDR, so if you read about the CrowdStrike, Defender, Carbon Black, these are the EDRs, and they include a lot of AI ML into it, and even the VirusTotal. So you can also look at it.
We have a question: how important is it to have a programming knowledge to get into cybersecurity? I've completed my BSc honors in forensic science.
So as I told in starting of the session, that writing code is not as important as reading code over here. So for example, you are going into one particular field where you are not developing stuff. So for example, if you are developing an antivirus stuff, you are a developer for antivirus. You are not a cybersecurity analyst for it. So in that particular way, but there is no specific thing that you need to know only these particular language. For example, in cybersecurity, you need to understand the syntax of all the languages. You need to understand the basic flow, how it goes. For example, you can come across even a simple macro file, a shell script, a Java script, a bash shell, a Linux, and any kind of stuff you can come across with. So you don't have to be like you don't have to write codes and malwares. Yeah, obviously you can when you'll be like in experience offensive environment where you have to develop your own exploit. But apart from that, for a beginner level and those things, coding is just to ease out the task, not the only important thing.
Thank you. We have like the messages. I have 4 years of experience in IT field as an application support engineer with certificate needed to get into cybersecurity.
as application support engineer. So yeah, most of my colleagues in past, they have joined security after working for it serves as one of the feeder role. So feeder roles are the roles which help you to get sooner or later you can go into cyber security field. So these are the field. So in that particular way, if you are working in cybernetics, I think depending what openings are there in your organizations and what roles you are interested in. So I think I'll tell from my part what my colleagues did. So they did CEH and Security Plus to get into it, which showcase that yeah, they have this knowledge, because hands-on are really expensive. They are highly in demand, but they are highly expensive. So they are like 10 times the cost of what Antwork is providing.
All right.
Yeah.
We have a question. What is the scope of cybersecurity in the upcoming generations with respect to the job market?
Upcoming generations. Okay. Yeah. This one. So I think with the greater in demand, like cybersecurity is one field where you will see it growing every single day, and new attacks will be coming up every single day. Even now, today, there will be 100 of 0 days, which uh, because the only application which is like, if we remove all the vulnerabilities, if we remove all the everything which can't be 100% secure. And if you think there is a saying from Kevin Mini, the only secure computer is the one which is shut down or which is switched off, because that way it is inaccessible by the external world. But that is of no use. So the more we are connected with the world, the more uh, tech friendly will be become, the more scope of cybersecurity will increase. So for example, like earlier days, you guys would have not heard that a car can be hacked or a pacemaker can be hacked, but now these things are happening. So as more and more IoT devices will come into picture, this thing will happen.
Right. We have a question. Can a master's degree help to get into cybersecurity field?
I think, yeah, out of master degree in cybersecurity, that itself says that you know a lot about cybersecurity. So I think, yeah, that will definitely help.
Right. We have a question. I am not really sure what this is, but so sir, like you said, an entry-level job is actually to get a taste how a firm handles and dabbles in cybersecurity. And then there's a question mark, so I'm not sure what it is.
Which one is that? Let me read it.
So it's by Aditya Tiwari.
So, sir, like you said, an entry level is added to get a taste of how a firm handles and dabbles in security. Yeah, like any job is will let you know that this is what the whole field looks like, and this is what we gonna interact with. Because like when something happens within an organization, until unless like it is very there are a lot of segregation of duties over there. You will be knowing that these are the things and this is what the other team is doing, and then there are inter-team connection. So you will definitely be knowing, yeah, this team does this and this is how it is being done. This team does this is how this is being done. So I said like depending on your area of interest, but if, enterprise risk management is a good point to start.
We have a question. I'm a second year student pursuing cybersecurity and digital forensics. How do I look for internships and how do I start prepping for the OSCP certification?
So I internships, I think one of the good way is to definitely enroll on to bug bounties for a specific organizations. So for example, like Uber there, the I have there. So look for enroll into their bug bounty programs, try to find bugs over there. Uh, and that way, like by the time you will be reaching out at the end of your degree, you will be having a really good resume to showcase that this is what I have found, and that will help you in getting an internship and touch wood a job also. And how do I start preparing for OSCP certification? So I think Hack the Box would be the right place to start for OSCP one. And yeah, I think you can start from Hack the Box and what else? There are some others. I don't remember. There is one from like Pentester Academy, but I haven't used it. So OSCP is basically, I think Hack the Box will be enough because they have from like extreme novice to advanced program. So you can try that.
Do you have any recommendations for some good colleges to apply for a master's degree in India for cybersecurity?
I've been hearing a lot about like lot of colleges have started. There is like one from Triple IT Allahabad and then NIT Rourkela, but I don't trust other college which says that we provide degree in cybersecurity because I know what they teach is not relevant to what is in the market.
Right. We have a question. How about Try Hack Me? Is that a good website to try bug bounty?
Yeah. That is good. I forgot the name, but yeah, it is good. It is good. And you can always try like whenever you make your account onto Google Cloud and AWS, you get some free discount to just spin up a machine, try something, and just shut it down.
Okay, and then for the student pursuing undergraduate right now, what would be your advice after getting graduated? Go for certifications or go for masters?
Well, I don't think like depending on from where you are doing your degree, I would say like go for a job first. Yeah. So in that okay, IITB. So in that particular case, I think by the 4th year you will be like going ahead with your. You should try certifications as of now. Like if you have anything specific in your mind that this is what I want to achieve and this is from where I want to study, then go for masters. Otherwise, you can go for certifications as of now, and by the end of the your degree, you will be all prepared for the external world. So you can try for certifications as of now. There is no need to wait for your graduation to get ended.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think we've almost answered patiently all the questions. Thank you so much for that, Naren. I personally have a question, just probably the last question for the day. If I have to ask you one table turning tip for a fresher or for somebody who's in the industry who's wanting to upskill, what would that be? What would be your secret?
Yeah, this is one feel like you never get confident enough.
Right.
Yeah, so this is one field like even if you know things, but there is always like I think no field is like that, but this is one thing where like you can never expect. So one table turning tip, like keep reading, guys, because every day new things are coming. And yeah, do check out the because most of these guys, you guys are looking for things around. I'll share some links also, but check for Mitra Attack and Defend Framework. I don't have any specific tips to give you apart from like keep on reading, man, keep trying hard, because that's the only way like you will be doing this stuff. So this is one field like until unless you're not into governance and compliance, this is not something like you can lay down on your bed and read a book. You have to be involved in practicals also.
All right, Naren, I think personally, I want you to check those messages. I think everybody has really had the session to be, they found it pretty useful, I guess, which is a very good thing. And yes, guys, we strongly recommend just check our program out. We have Naren's promotional link here. So if you use it, you get a specific discount close to about 5,000 rupees off. And also remember, we also offer kind of run some kind of placements as well. So do check that out. Apart from that, thank you so much, Naren. Once again, thank you so much for coming on our platform and kind of patiently answering all these questions. And I'm pretty sure most of them have actually got their queries resolved as much as anybody has questioned. And we really hope that we have you again in the future for more sessions from us.
Thanks, Kaushik. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you, guys. Stay safe. Take care. Cheers.
Bye-bye.